All right, and that man joins us. It's Thursday morning at about 8:30 your time, and of course, Andrew's here to talk some sports with us. And let's start off with high school football.
High school
Upcoming,
football.
A big week this week,
Oh,
just
yeah.
like any other week, pretty much. But this one a little bit bigger as we progress throughout region play or region play.
Right.
Tell us a bit about what we got going on this week.
Well, you know, just like you said, we're getting closer to the playoffs, and you're getting down to the final weeks, literally the final weeks. I think the final regular season game is November 4th, so how many weeks does that give you? About 3 or 4,
Yeah,
and now you're dealing with region play, and now these teams control their own destiny and can decide if they're ready for the playoffs or if they're not. And so in 3A Region 1, you know, right around this area, there are a lot of teams that have the opportunity to make a move and make a jump, and 2 of those games are happening this week. Worth County is traveling to Cairo, which will be our game of the week. Now, of course,
That's
Cairo.
a little bit of a tough going. I think.
It is a tough going for.
Anytime going to visit the cert makers, I think, is a tough.
Absolutely, and this week will be no different for that. Worth County, you know, is coming off a 27-6 loss to Monroe, and then 2 weeks that they win one game and they fell again at home to Americus Sumter 29-36. It's kind of a team right now that they've got the talent. They just can't put it all together. And when something goes wrong with that team, they lose a sense of composure.
Yeah.
And that's what I've seen so far. And
mental toughness as well as physical toughness,
Right.
a big part of the game.
Right,
Yeah.
and you know they're going to have to be tough if they want to pull off a big upset going down to Cairo, who obviously they're the favorites to win the region once again. Right. Another fun one to look at would be Westover hosting Crisp County here. Now Crisp County's 2-0 in the region right now. Westover had a bye last week, and so they're 1-1 in the region. You know,
They've had some close games
Yes,
as well. And
they have.
Hoping to put a good one together.
Yeah, and if they can put one together, a good one here, you know, Westover is back in the conversation at 2-1 for a playoff spot. And Crisp County, you know, went to the playoffs last year and have really shut a lot of teams down, and they shut down Westover last year. But this is a different Westover team, and I'm excited to see what the Patriots can do against Crisp County.
Yeah, Lee County. That's kind of a different story. They're once they've gotten into region play, a little bit more of a dicey go of it, you could say.
And that was kind of expected. Yeah. And Coach Fabrizio, I don't think he made no qualms about it. He knew that it was going to be tougher when they got into region play. The schedule in non-region play was a little bit soft. You know, it was as soft as a Kleenex, I would like to say, but a cupcake schedule. But you know, going forward, this is a young team, and they're getting better, but it's just not there compared to the caliber of talent they have to face week in and week out. You know, you got Northside Columbus, Northside Warner Robins, Thomas County Central. The teams just keep getting better and better, and Lee County has just not improved and able to take that next step to beat some of those teams.
Yeah, so a little tough go of it for them. What else we got going around town? Local high schools here in Albany. What else we got?
Deerfield and Sherwood are both at home, and that's the first time in quite a few weeks that both of the private schools have been at home. I mean, you also, a fun one that we're going to be checking out is Lowndes at Colquitt County.
There you go.
That's a big one. Everyone in Southwest Georgia is going to have their eyes on that one as Colquitt County is 6-1 and really rolling. And the one thing Coach Rush Probst, he's done a great job with the Packers down there, but the one thing he hasn't done yet is win a region title in 5A Region 1. And so this game against Lowndes, you know, Lowndes coming off that surprising
monster victory. Yes.
Right? It's a shocking loss against Valdosta, 21-17, the first time that Valdosta has won a game in that series since 2003, the Wintersville Classic. You can't beat it when you got 12,000 fans out at a high school football game. But you know, Lowndes is coming in. They're coming off a loss, so we'll see how that affects them. Right. Plus, Colquitt County, I think that this is a focused team that has a different goal, and it's a team that knows exactly what they want. And
well-balanced team as well. They're well-balanced offense, defense, both factors. Yeah.
And I'll tell you, they came out against Tiff County. Tiff County has been struggling. That team is. I don't know where that team's going, but Colquitt County came out and they didn't even give the Blue Devils a chance. They blew them out. It was a 30-point game by halftime, and so Colquitt County's rolling. Yeah.
At least it wasn't the 80 points that team beat. What was it? What was that about?
Westwood beat Randolph Southern 80-0, and I talked with the coach, and it's a tough balance. You know, we may have more of that coming up in sports. I might talk to a few more coaches, see where do you draw the line?
I mean, if you can't stop the second team, you know, offense, then what are you going to do?
It's not fair to tell those kids that go out there and practice, you know, the second and third teamers to lay down. You know, they want their opportunity to score a touchdown as well. So, you know, you get varying opinions, you know, with parents plus with coaches, but we may later on today talk a little bit about where do you draw the line between running up the score and sportsmanship.
Yeah. All right, and we're going to draw the line. We're going to talk college sports coming up next, college football anyway, coming back after this break. Stay with us. Back we are with Sports Director Andrew Schnitker. We're going to talk about some college football now, kind of moving along the lines. Let's first start off with Albany State. Of course, coming off of unexpected kind of loss last week. That program a little bit in disarray maybe after that loss. Hopefully they can pick up the pieces and put things back together later in the schedule. Yeah,
well, you know, Coach Mike White, I talk with him pretty frequently, and they're not in disarray yet.
Right.
And the best thing about it is they have some leaders on the offensive side of the ball that can right that ship, and that they've been there, they've been through it all, and Coach White obviously has been through, he's seen it all and been through it all. So, you know, they have a tough one coming up against Morehouse College. Morehouse is probably playing the best out of any SIAC school right now. So it is at home, which is a benefit.
Right.
And I think that is something that has been discounted throughout the last few weeks, is that Albany State's been on the road for the last 3 weeks, and they've traveled everywhere across the country. They went to Alabama,
they did.
and they come back here, and they go to Indianapolis, all by bus, and they come back here, and then they had to go to Jackson, Tennessee by bus, and then come back. I totaled it up. It's about 3,000 miles of driving. It was like 2 days. If you wanted to make that trip back and forth, it was like 2 days of travel. So all by bus, that's tough to deal with, especially in a 3 week straight. So
a little home cooking, and then homecoming to boot coming up soon. Not too long.
So if they want to continue on and then win the SIAC Eastern Division, get
still
to the
attainable.
conference game. It's still attainable. But they got to win these next 3 or 4 games coming up.
So a hiccup, you know, that part in the schedule when you're on the road that much, you know, not to be, not actually thought of happening, but again, not out of the question when you're doing that much.
Don't get me wrong. They were upset about the loss.
Right,
you know, the players were very upset, but especially because they never lost to Lane College.
Right.
They had never lost to Lane College. It dominated them last year, excuse me. So going into the game, I don't think they expected the kind of fight that they had, and they were not happy about the outcome afterwards.
All right, and speaking of easy games, maybe Georgia's got Vanderbilt this weekend, and so Vandy kind of came out of the gate this year on a good note. They were actually playing some good football there for a while, and then after the South Carolina game, they've just tanked big time.
Yeah, well, I don't expect much from Vanderbilt, to be quite honest.
If I remember correctly, I don't think they even scored against Georgia last year. So.
They may not score again against Georgia this year, particularly because that Georgia defense is what's been so special for these. In the 4 games that Georgia's won, they've only given up 2 offensive touchdowns. And I think that's something that has been discounted and something that people haven't really talked about. You talked about Aaron Murray, you talked about Crowell, Crowell's been, a fantastic running back for him, being freshman of the week pretty much every week except for this week. But, Georgia, with their defense, I think would be able to shut down Vanderbilt, even if with their second and third teamers out there.
Yeah, another good game between 2 teams that are kind of both on the fence right now, Florida and Auburn. That's kind of a tough call there.
Yeah.
Florida having quarterback issues, injuries, and the whole 9 yards. Auburn, looked okay against South Carolina, but again, that was barely a win.
Yeah, but you don't know what you're going to get with Auburn.
Exactly.
You have no idea. Is this going to be the team that gives up 42 points or 38 points to Utah State, 38 points to South Carolina, 38 points to Clemson, or not South Carolina, but 38 points to Clemson? Or is this the team that's going to, show up against South Carolina and shut them down and hold them to 13 points? I don't think Florida's going to be able to put up much offense because they're going to be so one-dimensional. John Brantley has been ruled out again. He's definitely not going to be able to play. Jacoby Brissett is a freshman quarterback that he had a touchdown last week against LSU.
A lot of speed, but a lot of inexperience, I think, there in Florida.
And he turned the ball over twice. Right. They're going to try to run the ball.
Yeah.
So that's really going to be the outcoming, the deciding factor.
I don't even think they should have made that trip to LSU. I mean, that was just that
they didn't show up. I don't know. They may have been there, but they weren't there. I mean, they didn't really show up.
I don't know who was in those jerseys. And then, of course, speaking of blowouts, we got Bama and Ole Miss as well. Alabama not really getting much in the way of competition this week, I don't think.
Nope.
Hopefully go out there and beat the Black Bears or the Rebels or whatever you want this week.
Well, I'm not
a little biased in that game.
I know. I'm not picking against Alabama for the rest of the year. I don't care if we're talking November 5th against LSU. Until Alabama,
that's going to be World War III.
It really will. Yeah. But until Alabama proves me wrong, I'm going with the Crimson Tide no matter what. They've blown out every opponent they've had on their schedule. So why would I?
Even into the swamp, and of course, well, that's enough football, I guess.